Hello and welcome to IGN Overclocked episode 9. You're already shaking your head.
I have so many pretzels in my mouth.
Damn it, Marty. My name is Mitch Dyer. I'm one of your hosts. I am joined by Marty Sleva, who's just cramming some pretzels and Red Bull into his mouth like a big healthy boy.
The pretzel hurt on the way down because I did not chew it enough, and it was still sharp.
You were ill prepared for everything that happened around you.
I was ill prepared despite the fact that you said 10 seconds.
Dan Stapleton, I did not say 10 seconds. I said 3, 2, 1. Dan Stapleton, you are well prepared. Thank you for joining us.
I'm moderately prepared.
You're more prepared than both Marty and I combined, so we appreciate that.
You'll find out exactly how prepared I am as the show goes on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, had a bit of a wet lunch, maybe? So, I don't know about you guys, but for me, the biggest and happiest news of the week was that they announced a new Far Cry game.
Yeah.
I love that series. I'm also a big fan of them just going to the Stone Age because that eliminates a lot of things that I think are getting less and less interesting in Far Cry games, which is like, oh, you got some cool new scopes on your guns. You got a cool upgrade to your magazine. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's sort of the first. So, yeah, Ubisoft announced Far Cry Primal. This is not like a Blood Dragon-y DLC expansion. This is a full $60,
Can I call it Far Primal?
Yes,
Ooh,
please.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
That gives me Far Cry Primal Rage. That was an old arcade game where a dino beat a monkey, man.
It's true.
Yeah, this is a full game. It's not 100% sure why it's not called Far Cry 5.
Probably because it's not like modern
no guns?
bang guns.
There's no
Yeah,
guns,
right? Like
yeah.
you're not capturing outposts with Jeeps and C4.
Yeah,
and
but I mean, I'm imagining you're still going to be capturing outposts. But one
You
thing
are.
it does is it
They're just
makes
mud huts now.
crafting makes sense.
Yeah.
The crafting never really made sense in the other games. So I'm like, who are these dudes and why do they know how to do this?
I got a rhino gut and I'm gonna smash it into an elephant and wrap it in
Yeah.
some flowers and now I've got a wallet.
Yeah, Ajay would not have known how to do that. Or what was his name in 3? Brody?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a super Brody.
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 But this dude, like the character you play, 10,000 BC, like you are a hunter-gatherer sort of person, and that's going to make sense. And when you kill something, you are going to use every part of it because that's how life back then was, Mitch. It was a simpler time.
You didn't just throw away half your Big Mac
So,
like I do.
and what I was saying, I wasn't fully prepared. I didn't actually watch this trailer.
Okay.
Really? Okay,
so-
that's interesting.
So we'll
you
read
just
it.
heard about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys
Okay.
can recount it to me, and in doing so, inform any audience members who
Exterior,
Yes.
field, midday. So basically, the trailer it never shows the player character because it's most of the time first person except for like panoramic environment
But
shots.
it's first person, like it's fake first person.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
it's not going to be how the game looks in first person.
right. It's like guided cinematic kind of first person.
Yeah.
And you're with a small tribe. It's you and 3 other people, which TBD if it's like co-op or if you just have a small clan that you're rolling with the whole time. But it's a short video about them hunting mammoths.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, it basically just turns into Monster Hunter, where they're
Yeah.
mounting a mammoth and all throwing different kinds of sharp objects at it, like a spear or a bow and arrow. And it's scary because it's like a very close range, like more intimate fight than you're expecting from a Far Cry game.
It reminded me of the what Sony showed at E3 with Horizon, sort of where it was that fight against the big like Robo Dino.
Yeah.
It's sort of that scale and that scope, and that like this is not a kill it and walk away thing. Like this is a sort of an event in the game.
So they're making use of the elephant tech that they had in Far Cry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the saber-toothed tiger operates like guess what animal in previous Far Cry games.
Was it a hawk?
Yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing to me is I played a lot of Rust, and this is very much Ubisoft entering that kind of survival, open world sort of realm, but only lightly, and I kind of wish it was a lot more. Basically, because if more games are like Rust, that's great for me.
Well, here's a question that I have: is why would they even call this a Far Cry game? Like Far Cry for me has always been a shooter. It's always been it's been modern or near future if you count Blood Dragon setting, and it's always been a very specific kind of thing. And this might have like the crafting aspect of it, and it might share the engine, and I guess taking over outposts. But beyond that, it seems so thematically different from the rest of the Far Cry games.
I mean, the cynic in me says because the name Far Cry holds a lot of cachet.
Well,
I don't think that's cynicism. That's just practical.
Yeah,
it's
and also
marketing.
I wouldn't be surprised if this game was originally Primal.
Right?
Yeah, like
And then
it was
someone
a
like,
different
well,
project.
Sort of, this has some stuff in common with Far Cry. So
Yeah.
let's just
What if we
fuck
just
it.
dumped the elephant into the engine and then reskin it?
No, I'm sure
Make
it
it
was
bigger.
always. I'm sure it was always like a Blood Dragon-ish spin-off of Far Cry that they were messing with.
And then it scaled up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that would be my completely uneducated guess.
Sure.
That's how that one came to be.
I would imagine though, like imagine if you see this trailer, imagine that you have seen the trailer, and then imagine again that you had seen that trailer, but it didn't have Far Cry at the end. You would look at that and go, "Who are they kidding? This is just a Far Cry game with a different aesthetic."
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't think there's like when you change the setting that dramatically. Like I don't really have a problem with changing the franchise that's associated with. I mean, you look at Mass Effect versus Dragon Age. Like they were, at least they started out pretty similar, and then kind of branched out
separately.
But it's BioWare tech, and Mass Effect versus Knights of the Old Republic. It's kind of the same structure with some different systems. I mean, Mass Effect was more shootery, obviously. But it's the same style of thing. With a new coat of paint on it, and it's a different game.
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of been saying the same thing with Assassin's Creed, to where everyone really liked Black Flag, and it was like, let's just
make it a power game.
Strip away the assassin stuff that everyone's sort of tired of, in terms of that overarching narrative, and just let it be a cool pirate game.
Get rid of the Animus stuff. Get rid of all the modern day stuff. Get rid of all the stuff that nobody cares about. And just make it a power game.
Yeah. The thing I found really interesting with the trailer was that they made up a language, and the characters are speaking to each other in that made-up language, and they didn't have subtitles. And so, like,
I'm gonna play without subtitles.
Yeah, we have this like we are hoping that this game just doesn't have subtitles. And
how great would
the
that
story
be?
is told through through performances and through like animation and through facial tech.
But then they wouldn't have a language because you're one of them, and you should be able to understand that language.
Which is why they'll probably have
unless
subtitles.
you play your character's conscience, like Jiminy Cricket in the hit film Pinocchio.
I bet that's how it
Jiminy
goes.
Cricket
I bet
can
that's how it goes. I'm really excited to run around a Far Cry world and bang on some trees and get some wood and make a hatchet and do the kind of stuff I love doing in like Rust and the Stomping Land, despite the fact that game was bad.
I think the obvious question, is why did they not come up with a way to put dinosaurs in this? Or I mean, maybe they did. Maybe they're going to
because I think they wanted to ground it a little bit more. Like I think it was meant to be.
Far Cry never really.
No, of course, but at the point where you put dinosaurs and humans in it, like that never happened. So suddenly it's a little more.
Blood Dragon never happened.
Well, that's the point. It's like they're trying to accomplish different things. Blood Dragon was trying to be stupid. This is trying to be a cool 10,000 BC Far Cry game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Far Cry is always trying to be a little stupid.
A little bit, but Blood Dragon was over the top. Like they are not comparable in any way. I think, aside from Far Cry.
Right. No, I just seems like. I want to fight some dinosaurs.
I want to fight some dinos too. You're preaching to the choir.
Mammoths and saber-toothed tigers are all well and good, but they're just fuzzy and pointier versions of the same things that were in the last Far Cry games. Give me something I haven't quite seen before. Something that maybe rides on the Jurassic Park coattails
So the Far Cry
I'm sort of
games
surprised that. I mean, granted, this game I'm sure has been in development for years, but after the massive success of the wildly mediocre Jurassic World, that no one was just like, oh my god, dinos, put the dinos in there. Kids love dinos.
DICE has been regretting it for 5 years, no doubt. I don't know. The Far Cry games have always had that like hint of something that's just off, right? Like Far Cry 4 had the Yeti stuff. Like before the DLC was even there, like it was clearly a Yeti. And it was weird, and it was subtle, but it was interesting. It was like, what is going on here?
3 had all the drug trips and everything.
Yeah, and there was like spiritual stuff in Far Cry 4 and also more drug trips, and you literally went to a different world and played a different game in Shangri-La. So I would imagine that
it's entirely possible there will be a dinosaur popping
exactly,
up.
right?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, the plot twist might be just there are dinosaurs, and
Also,
you find them, and they're terrifying.
That is a different, that is another preview beat you can hit with this game, which is not going to have a long preview tail because they announced
4
it,
months.
and it's in theory coming out in February.
The same day as
Deus Ex and Mirror's Edge.
Yep.
That is video game day.
Elias Tufexis is in 66% of those games on that day.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. I expect one of them to move, or I expect this game to get delayed, because Ubisoft has a tendency to delay games. See The Division and Watch Dogs, and
I don't think
Rainbow
Far Cry needs to be afraid of either of those games.
I mean, I think a Far Cry spinoff does.
I wonder if they had called it Far Cry 5, if they would have just made it next year's big game, and I don't know, given it more dev time, more promotional time. But yeah, like to that point, right? Like it's a spinoff. Does it have the weight to go toe to toe with Deus Ex and Mirror's Edge, all open world games?
I mean, a funny thing is, very few games get to the number 5.
Mega Man, Final Fantasy,
Mega Man and Final Fantasy,
Metal Gear Solid.
Tomb Raider. Everyone pulls out before that, though.
That's true.
Assassin's Creed pulled out before 5. Mass Effect is pulling out before 4.
Oh,
I'm just gonna keep saying pulling out. No, I mean literally using the number 5
Metal
in
Gear.
your title. Metal Gear. Well, Metal Gear's insane. But I don't like. I imagine Ubisoft. The Japanese have done it. Westerners don't.
Skyrim.
I imagine a Japanese game.
To your point.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that after Black Flag, the reason.
I'm sorry, but carry on.
Rainbow Six. I imagine Ubisoft did some sort of research where they were like, "Hey, we're not going to call the Unity 5 because it was in theory it was like the 8th game because they don't know how to number things. I don't know.
What if it was like Unity and it was like on on City Halls, the U's always look like V's.
Can I leave yet?
Fallout 4 is the 8th Fallout game.
Yeah. We're going to put that on Dan's epitaph. Your last Dan Stapleton.
Rewinding. Literally, what was your point? What were you trying to say?
They pull out.
Oh yeah, right. That 5 might be a bad number.
Maybe
5 is an unsexy marketing number.
Yeah.
Could be. But then what do they do when they make Far Cry 5? When they make the modern shooter again in 2 years?
Far Cry.
Ubisoft has already gone in the direction of dropping numbers entirely.
That's true. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
They did it with something else. What else they do?
Rainbow Six doesn't have numbers anymore.
Rainbow Six
now.
numbers. So yeah.
I don't know if it ever really did.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is never coming out.
They could very well go in that direction.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I'm also just really big. If this does come out in February, I'm a big fan of what, like Fallout, of announcing a game, and before I can get tired of it, I am playing it.
Yep. So more than that, I'm excited to see a AAA developer take one of its biggest franchises and say, let's do something super different with this.
Yeah.
And I hope it's a trend that we see carried forward more, right? Like the Black Flag example, like just do a pirate game, just do a Stone Age game, just do whatever sci-fi thing you want to do, and you can call it Far Cry or Assassin's Creed or whatever you want to do, make it a new IP. I don't care, but like keep doing different stuff. I am super down with that.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we're still going to be saddled with Uplay with this game, but
oh god,
I guess the good news though is that they've tweaked Uplay so that when you launch out of Steam now, it doesn't launch to Uplay. It launches straight into the game.
Perfect.
It cuts out the middleman.
Uplay does launch.
Yeah.
But it's running in the background, so you don't have to push play again.
That's nice.
Which is great especially if you're in big picture mode.
And I can still spend my Uplay points and my Uplay gun and my Uplay screensaver.
Yeah.
When was the last time you guys downloaded a screensaver?
That's a good question.
Jeez.
Right.
In the 90s?
Yeah. When Jennifer Love Hewitt was still alive.
When she made that movie with Sigourney Weaver about conning married men.
Heartbreakers.
Heartbreakers.
Before Jennifer Love Hewitt's untimely death.
Yeah, I don't know why I said when she was still alive.
I just missed that part of the conversation, I guess.
This is IGN's #1 JLH podcast.
With Podcast Unlocked trailing in a close second. Is that all the stuff we have to say about Far Cry Primal?
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to play
me too.
When are we going to play this video game?
February 26th.
No, when are we?
When do we get to?
Are they going to show stuff at Paris Games Week that's coming up soon?
PlayStation Experience, maybe, in December.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Paris Games Week makes most sense. Ubisoft or French, that's my logic.
Oui.
Let's move on and talk a little bit about Star Wars Battlefront.
Speaking of France,
have you guys been playing this beta yet?
Yeah.
Not yet, because I played the other thing you told me to play last night instead of this.
Well, you can't play 2 games and raise a baby? Get your life together, Dan.
I'm also playing Rebel Galaxy.
Oh, that's right. Can you talk about that yet?
Yeah, there's no embargo on it, which is kind of neat.
All right. Plot twist. Do you have enough to talk about that we can do a topic on it?
I've just kind of gotten started.
Okay, well, forget the topic. We'll just talk about it real briefly.
Yeah. I'm playing. I've gotten started. Actually, at this point, I'm kind of at the same point I was at with the preview build that I got to play a few hours of, and then got cut off of.
Okay.
But what's kind of surprising to me is like how much bigger it is than I thought it was. Because I don't know if you've seen any of it. It's
just a little.
Yeah, you've got. In the preview build, you've got like a solar system you're in. It's a big solar system.
Like solar systems do.
Yeah, it's packed with a bunch of dynamically generated stuff. Nebulas and space stations and planets and all kinds of stuff. But what I didn't really realize is how much bigger it is than that, because you have a star chart map that you have to upgrade your ship in order to be able to go to these other systems, and I haven't gotten that yet, but there are just like a dozen of these star systems in every game, every randomly generated game. So this is a much bigger game than I thought it was.
Interesting. Okay.
Pretend I'm the Dan Stapleton of Far Cry Primal, and I don't know what this video game is.
It is a kind of open world. Are you familiar with like Freelancer?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So or Privateer. So you've got an open world space game where you can go around doing trading or fighting pirates and doing bounties, or you can become a pirate. You can go out and do all kinds of random stuff. There's also a story mission thread that goes through it.
Okay. Are you always a ship?
You are always a ship. You can't get off the ship or do anything. It's made by some of the guys that did Torchlight. They left Runic and started Double Damage Games.
Oh, interesting.
And it's Travis Baldry and Max Schaefer.
Oh, when we played, what was the thing at PAX? Imp? No.
Hob.
We played Hob. They were talking about how they were working on a space game, and then some people left and are still working on that space game.
Yep.
I bet that's this.
Yeah.
Solve that mystery.
Yep.
You learned.
But it's a $20 game, but it's looks pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
And deep, and like the combat it's naval style combat, so it's kind of like Assassin's Creed 4.
You drift alongside each other and
you got
shoot your cannons.
Nice. Interesting.
But you've got shield facings you have to manage as well. So there's weapon facings, shield facings. You can automate a lot of your weapons except for the broadside cannons. So you've got turrets. You can say I want this turret to only attack fighters, or this turret to only attack corvettes, or only attack what I'm targeting, or target whatever. So there's a certain amount of AI control to it.
Yeah.
And you get to upgrade those turrets and upgrade your ship with all kinds of things, and then buy a whole new ship. And yeah, it's got some complexity to it. The combat, the big question for me is whether the combat's going to hold up, because it is a little bit repetitive.
That's going to be interesting over the course of like a big game with that much to do.
Right. So I mean, there's something to it. It's not simply get up alongside another ship and blow and shoot. You've got deflector shields that you activate manually that absorb all damage up to a point. You've got you've got to rotate your ship to avoid taking too much damage on one side or another. It's got shields and armor and then hull. So there's quite a bit to it. You've also got missiles. You've got flak. You've got lasers. You've got pulse weapons. All kinds of stuff. So there's quite a bit to it. Just TBD whether it mixes up enough that it will keep things interesting through the end.
Is it all single player?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm curious. I was curious at the beginning when you said the zoom out and the game is far larger than you thought it would be.
Did you also imagine the No Man's Sky
I
thing?
totally imagined that, just that No Man's Sky video we saw.
It's not as big as No Man's Sky.
And then it's all within a marble of a little alien boy.
But there's more. I have a much better idea of what I'm doing in this game than we do in No Man's Sky. It's more than going to a planet and scanning aliens.
Let's get some rocks.
Yeah. But you can also go like mine, just asteroid mining.
Yeah.
Or you can be a pirate and mine spaceships, basically. So there's quite a bit to it. There are also factions that you can piss off or ingratiate yourself with. Yeah, lots of stuff going on.
Interesting. When do you expect your review to be live?
It depends on how long it takes me to finish that. I'm hoping for next week, but who knows how long it's going to take.
Well, keep it locked. Marty, you've been playing that Star Wars Battlefront beta.
Played a little bit last night.
Okay, how do you feel? What did you play? What are your thoughts? Does it live up to your expectations? All the stuff that everybody always wants to know about this game.
Yeah, I mean, so I played the Hoth stuff and the Tatooine stuff, which is what I'd played at E3 and Comic-Con, I believe.
Probably not E4 or E2.
No. Well, I understand E3 if I haven't seen the first two Es. Well, first and foremost, I think the game's presentation is astounding. People were just playing in the office before we went in here, and the sound effects are insane.
It's nuts to just like hear people playing it, and you hear the sound effects, you hear the music, and then you just see people slowly flock to a desk.
Yeah.
And everybody just like wants to watch.
Yeah, I mean, because the sound effects, they so accurately replicate the original trilogy in the way to where like it doesn't quite sound realistic, but it sounds like how that sounded, which I love. Like, it seems like they're using that whatever the same like lo-fi technology George Lucas used.
Whatever Ben Burtt was like plugging into a wall and banging on.
Yeah, totally. And it just works, and those noises have become so iconic.
You know what the blaster sound is?
No.
It's a high tension cable being tweaked.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I know like something was like a razor in a metal bowl. That might have been Chewbacca.
Oh, wow. Well, he was something like they plugged something into a wall and there was like a vibration thing, and then they combined it with a cougar.
That should be a new feature. Describe how the sound was made, and then you have to tell me what sound that was.
Oh my God.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
For our sound design podcast coming soon.
Yeah, and I still think I don't know. I'm still on the fence about whether I'm more of a single player guy than a multiplayer guy. So I'm a little bummed out that there's not going to be a campaign for me to hop into. But from the multiplayer matches I played last night, I'm really enjoying it so far. I was playing obviously in the PS4 version, and I have some of the same problems you have, Mitch, in terms of I guess on Xbox One of not being able to remap certain buttons.
Yeah, controls in this game not good. The aiming and shooting is fine, but the minute you need to like change your perspective, because you can switch from first to third person, it gets real bad. Just feels bad to have that on the D-pad, which is why I strongly prefer this game on PC, because I can just remap my controls. Everything makes sense. I can put melee where I want it. I can make different buttons apply different things based on exactly what I want, and that level of customization is just like why I love PC gaming, obviously.
Yeah. Even like now, I guess the consoles, like the PS4 has the ability to remap buttons, but it's like a system-wide thing. So if you want to change your controls in something, you have to change
Oh, gross.
the entire,
Really?
yeah, the entire function of that button, which it's like I don't know why they don't do that in games.
Just
like
a game-by-game
PC.
basis.
PC just has it right. It's just like
Yeah.
I want this button to do this. Is that so hard?
The PC options are also like exactly what you would expect from DICE in terms of like visual customization is great. You can turn motion blur up and down, different visual effects up and down, vertical field of view up and down.
I do kind of expect a server browser from DICE, and we're not getting that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a byproduct of them focusing on peer-to-peer console gaming.
Could be. I mean, they're dedicated servers for that.
Are they?
Marty, am I wrong?
That's got to be true.
I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
You're correct.
Yeah, I think there's dedicated servers for that. So I mean, they were saying it's good for like balancing reasons, but
Also, we don't have to use battle logs, so that's a nice plus.
yeah,
That's always a nice plus.
Like if you're gonna get rid of the servers, and then battle log can go with it. Great.
One weird problem I'm noticing more and more on the Tatooine or the Hoth level is that everyone is white and everything is
Yes.
white, and I get to a point where I'm just like,
That's an Earth problem too.
to where it's just like, especially like the snowtroopers, like they're super white.
Yeah,
that is the idea. It's camouflage.
Yeah, but it's also
it sucks in a video game though.
And do they have the name over the head?
No, or at least not until you're very close. Like
Yeah.
you get a health bar above them when you're close enough, but or if you hit them. So if you see someone in the distance and you do make them and you connect, you get the little X that says you hit them,
Right.
and then their health bar pops up.
Yeah,
obviously
and your
goes
lasers
down.
go real far.
Real far. People also take like 3 shots before they're dead at most, which is great.
Yeah,
They're not lasers, Marty. They're blasters.
This man knows.
Get it right.
they've retconned lasers into blasters.
I think the one disadvantage to PC, and this is probably something I just haven't even checked this out. Does it have split screen? Because on console you have the split screen campaign stuff.
I don't believe so. Very few PC games have split screen.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would just lump it in there just so there's parity. But
Almost never.
like I love those missions. I've played,
They're super fun.
Yeah,
sort of like the horde mode stuff.
yeah, it's great, and like the abilities combined with the maps and just like the level of verticality, and then the like little ravines in the Tatooine one where you
Yeah.
can hide and escape an ATSD.
I think actually this year's Call of Duty has split screen on PC, which is like out of the blue.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean its campaign is supposedly built around the idea of 4-player co-op,
Right.
Which is what their
Right.
weird excuse for not having the campaign on old gen consoles was.
Yeah, but hopefully, as PCs migrate more into the living room with Steam boxes
Sure,
and whatnot.
it does become more of a viable, like people will want to play
Sure,
split screen
yeah.
because it's on their TV as opposed to sitting in front of their monitor.
Yeah, and it's always been. I think that's why the feature never really took off on PC is that PC monitors traditionally have been smaller, but we're getting bigger, getting higher res. If you get a 30-inch monitor, or just plug your TV into your PC, and
Big fan.
there you go.
I think
That's what I do.
if there is split screen, and I really, really regret not checking before we came into this room, I feel like there must be, because there's a frame rate option by default. You can just lock it at 30. You can customize where you want it to be. I hope that's still there if there's split screen, because on
of course
console
it
it
will.
drops to 30,
Yeah, of course
and
there
it's
is. I
you
mean,
lose some of that responsiveness.
Yeah, there would be no reason to. I mean, you can absolutely lock it to 30 if you like.
Sure,
it that
yeah,
way
yeah.
For whatever reason, but some people do that to ensure a stable frame rate, because for me more important than having high frame rates is having a stable frame rate.
Yeah, well, that's why like anything competitive is locked at 30.
Right. Well, no, not like it's locked at either 30 or 60.
Yeah.
You don't want it fluctuating because that can cause like synchronization
Right.
problems, all kinds of weird stuff. And it's like just changing how things move in front of you as you're trying to shoot a moving target is never a good idea. So you want a steady frame rate, over a high one. But on PC, like if you like, obviously with the consoles, they know what they can handle because they've got locked hardware. But on PC, like you have
to account for everybody.
Yeah, if you've got somebody running, Titans and SLI, of course they're going to be able to handle it at 60. They'll probably be able to handle it at 144.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I would be, and DICE has generally been good about that kind of thing. So I would be very surprised if they would limit your frame rate.
Yeah, I mean, so far this, like, I've played on PS4 and PC, and for me, like, I strongly prefer it on PC. Not just because shooters are better on PC, but like the control thing is real. It matters, and those customization options really, really matter.
Yeah.
You would be more interested if it had a campaign. Do you feel like it needs one necessarily? That's been like the constant debate, right?
Yeah.
And I've never felt like Battlefront needed a campaign.
Yeah.
Mostly because Battlefront 2's campaign was bad, and that's not what DICE has ever done
DICE
well.
Does well. Yeah, exactly.
I forget. Does this have bots?
I don't believe so. Well, it does in missions for sure. Like, there is an AI system in place. I just don't know how it populates a server if players are absent or quit, or if you want to practice.
I would be totally happy because, I mean, like, Battlefront has always been like very scenario based.
Yeah.
Like, I would be totally happy if there were just bot support. It's like I don't want to try and find a populated game. I just want to run around. I want dumb bots that I can.
That's how I played Battlefront for the most part of my life. Like, whenever I played Battlefront, it was just against bots because I had a PlayStation 2 that was offline.
Yeah, but like if I could just say I want to play as Darth Vader on this map and jump in and play against bots.
And that's the thing I want, man. Like, I have not been able to play as a hero, and the idea that I will never be able to do that because somebody will always beat me to it is super depressing.
Yep. Yeah. I just want that sandbox option.
Yeah, well, we don't know there's not like a hero mode or something like that.
Also, I don't know, man. Have Battlefield games ever been moddable?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, up until 2.
No.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
2 was the last moddable one.
I wonder if people will be able to mod this.
There actually was a crazy Star Wars mod for.
I remember that.
Too.
There was one for Modern Warfare 2 as well.
Modern Warfare, Call of Duty.
Was
4.
it COD 4? Okay, cool.
I think Modern Warfare 2 is where Call of Duty clamped down on mods.
Okay, cool.
Which was terrible.
Yeah, I would love to see players make custom playlists where it's like you only play the heroes, or a team of 10 has to try and take down one Luke Skywalker or whatever, right? Like just weird situational things like that. Yeah. But Luke is a giant rock monster that costs $15. That stupid game. Evolve. Remember that game? Remember when that game came out?
I liked it many times when I played it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's one of those that shot itself in the foot with its dumb marketing, even though it was fine.
It was also that suffered from the problem that we were talking about with Far Cry I feel like we previewed it too many times.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those, like, it was revealed and then delayed, and then we played it over the course of, like, a year.
Yeah,
and a half.
and then after so many previews, people are just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That game's not out yet? Whatever, move on. I've moved on.
How long ago was Battlefront announced? Battlefront, like, they had the teaser 2 years ago?
It was 2013 was the teaser. 2014 was the first... Oh, what did they show in 2014? So yeah, the first time we ever saw it was April this year
at Celebration.
But they announced it, and then last year they had like the behind the scenes video at E3.
Yeah,
right. The year before last they had the teaser with the AT-AT.
Yes, crushing the snowspeeder.
And that was like, I think we voted that like the best
teaser or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was all I needed.
Yeah, I think so. April was when you saw the Endor stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that demo never came out. Like, they just never released it. They've put bits and pieces of it in other trailers. Like that moment where the rebel runs in front of you and he just starts floating in the air.
Yeah.
And Vader cuts down the player. Like, that moment was the end of the Endor demo at Celebration.
Yeah.
But by and large.
Those were all CG, though. Those were not.
No, that was gameplay. Like, I was at Celebration and saw them. Like, it was a gameplay presentation.
Okay.
But it's obviously like that was a very scripted moment where they orchestrated it. Not scripted, but orchestrated, where it's like Darth Vader will wait in the corner for the player to finally get here. They will execute it this way, like the Titanfall trailer, right?
Yeah.
Like that I felt like wasn't dishonest because that was what that game was like.
Yep.
But they did orchestrate it in such a way that really amazing stuff happened every time you turned a corner.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking of they put out some footage that's like in-engine footage. It's like, well, that's not gameplay footage.
Yeah. Well, that was the trailer with the speeder bikes in Endor.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Where it's like, yeah, the only thing this engine is rendering is this scene, so it's in-engine, guys.
Yep.
Cool.
Using all the cinematic models.
Yes, exactly. The highest res possible.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I think that game looks good. Like, everyone was worried that it wasn't going to look like that, and I think it looks like that, especially on PC.
Yeah.
Holy Christ, it's gorgeous on PC, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm excited to see
Yeah,
more.
I am very excited for more. That game's out in a month.
Yeah, just a little over.
Yeah, a little over a month.
Yep.
It's daunting that I have to review that, but I'm very excited. Very,
You're
very,
gonna
very
shoot a whole
excited.
Star Wars.
I'm going to shoot all the Star Wars. So we all played this game. I made you guys play this. I ranted and raved that you guys have to play this. Please play this. So we're going to do full spoiler discussion. Full warning right now. Spoiling everything to do with the Beginner's Guide, the new game from Davey Whedon, who did the Stanley Parable.
Yeah. So before you leave, this is a $10 game. It's about 90 minutes long. I'm probably never going to play it again. But I think just in terms of something that's very interesting and unique, I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
So if you have not played it, buy.
That's the Marty review.
Yep. Yeah. No, I meant buy as in goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the Marty review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, to clarify, I think this is more of a interactive essay than a game.
Yes. And that was exactly the feeling I had walking away from it.
Right. It's like, I have a definition of a game which includes a game is basically a challenge. It throws down like, hey, I bet you can't do this, and here are the rules for doing it. This game barely does that. It
Bet you can't get through this without feeling suicidal tendencies.
yeah. I mean, it has very basic puzzles.
Yeah, I mean,
super basic puzzles, and it makes a point of saying these puzzles are super basic.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it satisfies my definition of what is a game. The letter of the law, but not the spirit.
Yeah, I feel like on the grand scheme of quote unquote walking simulators, it has less player agency and interactivity than something like Gone Home, and slightly more than something like Dear Esther.
I mean, it's not only guided; it's narrated.
Yeah,
and there's stuff explained to you before you even get to it. Like he will, as the narrator, call stuff out that you're looking at that then you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So for the people who are listening to this or watching this that are watching it not having played and don't care that it's being spoiled, we should probably establish what this is.
So Davey, who was one of the developers on the Stanley Parable, which was also another walking simulator, but very strange, sort of fourth wall breaking about video games and about art in general.
And choice.
This is him going through a series of small games / tech demos that supposedly a friend of his named Coda made from like 2008
9 to
11-ish. Yeah. And so he's going through these things, and it starts off in like it was a Counter-Strike map.
Yep.
And he's sort of walking around, and he's narrating the whole time as you're walking around. So you are allowed to walk around the map, and he started telling you the story of who this guy was.
And it's not even narrated like you would expect. Like it's very much he's like, hello, my name is Davey, and I made the Stanley Parable, and this is what you're looking at. I'm going to tell you a story.
And here's my email address. If you have some theories or complaints or anything, he gives his email address right at the beginning, which is his real email address.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically from there, right, like you start there, and he says he's going to take you through a series of games developed by his friend Coda, and you just kind of bounce between them, and they're very short, and they're very abstract, and like Dan said, not really a game because it's made in a game engine and you can walk around and do stuff, but none of it really amounts to anything.
Yeah.
They're basically like experiments and ideas that happen to be playable.
Yeah, and he sort of being at the helm of the thing has the ability, like there's some times where you get to a thing where like the game was unfinished or the game, something sort of broke, and he was like, well, I'm going to get you through this door because this door doesn't open. I'm going to build you a bridge. I am going to pull you out of the world. And you start seeing things like, oh, there's this little shooter that took place in a spaceship, and there was nothing to shoot. You had a gun, you could shoot it, but there was nothing to shoot. But sort of if you zoomed out, like if you clipped out and broke out of the level and zoomed out, you'd notice that there was a ton of other like geometry that was created that just wasn't there. And so you start sort of thinking, well, why was this there?
Yeah, and that's sort of the running theme throughout it is all of these games have things that are hidden away from what would be the player. And that starts asking the question about creativity and people who make the games and the responsibility to the people who are playing them.
And why they make games.
Yeah, and it becomes basically through the series of narrations about Coda's games, those topics. And then in addition to that, kind of Coda's like emotional descent as he makes games.
Well, and the whole thing is, here's the spoiler part.
Yeah.
In the end, it's kind of implied that there is no Coda. It's actually Davey, who's made these levels, and it's not a split personality thing.
But just a part of himself, like a representation of a part of his series of beliefs.
Yeah, or like I kind of read it as like Coda was kind of a manifestation of his depression.
Yes.
As and he was making these as he was working through his depression and as a result of bouts of depression.
Yeah, you definitely start noticing, like I noticed it before sort of the turn at the end when he gets the final game from the guy, and then when he beats it, the guy gives him the message saying, like, don't contact me anymore. You broke my trust by taking my games and showing them to other people when I explicitly multiple times told you not to. But before that, you start getting to parts of levels that very much you can tell are prototype things for the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that just stand out, and you're like, oh yeah, like obviously this guy played these games and then made the Stanley Parable. No,
I mean, and there's that there's an early level where the only thing you could do is walk backwards. You can't walk forwards,
that was one of my favorites.
That was a thing in the Stanley Parable.
Yep.
That's right.
Certain things were all about walking backwards. The way text sort of read on a wall, the way his sort of turns of phrases, the way signage almost acted as like these emotional prompts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like with the box head.
Yeah.
People. Well, and then more explicitly, like the house cleaning level is the most Stanley Parable thing I've seen, because you're having this conversation with this guy who is, you know, passively having this conversation with you, but mostly just telling you, do this, do this, do this, do this. And you're just doing it because you have to.
Yeah.
And that's how you unlock the next part of the game, but you're not getting anything out of it. You're cleaning a house because you're being told to.
Although he said, like, in the, you know, he fixed that one because initially you just kept...
There was no ending.
Yeah, you just kept fixing, or, you know, cleaning everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that last part where one of the last messages on the wall is stop adding lampposts to my levels.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So I mean that, and whereas Davey had said early on, it's like, oh yeah, he added this.
He had this recurring motif of at the end of his levels there were lampposts.
Maybe that was his beacon to the player to signify the end.
Right, and that to me is him establishing himself as an unreliable narrator.
Yes.
You can't trust anything he says.
Yep. So that didn't click for me right away. Because,
that clicked for me instantly.
So I got that, and I got to that moment, and I was like, that's when it crossed my mind where I was like, are they the same person? And then more stuff happened, and that thought just kind of took a back seat. And by the end of it, I thought, man, Davey is not a good person. Davey is like incredibly selfish to make this and to ask Coda to like respond to this by releasing games that Coda did not want released.
Yeah, I mean, besides that being, you know, kind of a jerk thing to do, it's also illegal.
Yeah.
So I don't think...
Especially if you're charging for
That's
it.
why I was like, wait, how is he doing this?
Right.
This seems not okay.
So that's kind of a outside the game giveaway.
Sure.
Maybe that's not exactly what happened.
But yeah, like the night... Like I slept on it and woke up the next morning and thought a lot about it, and just like I haven't stopped thinking about this game and the sort of like emotional toll that these things took on this person, and came to the realization like, yes, like Coda is the representation of a different part of Davey's brain.
But at the same time, like the ending is kind of a condemnation of trying to interpret authorial intent,
which I found super interesting because art rarely does that. Like, I'm always a firm believer in once you create something and put it out there, it's no longer yours.
Death of the author.
Yes, the death of the author. And whereas this is sort of saying that it can be dangerous and sort of it can be selfish of you to try to take a piece of art and put yourself into it, or sort of
trying to project your own thoughts onto what the person making this game was thinking when they made it.
Right, because that person, like, those things are a result of those thoughts and of what that person went through.
But trying to interpret what that person was going through when they made that game is not necessarily going to be successful, because that's how you see things. It's not how they saw it.
Right. Yeah, and it's backseat. It's like backseat pseudopsychology.
Yeah, it's like I was a lit major in college, and I hated it because it was all that. It was all like trying to figure out, well, what was the author thinking when he did this? It's like, well, sometimes a cigar is a cigar. Yeah. It's not all symbolism.
Yeah.
So like, playing through a game and trying to interpret what a developer is thinking is probably going to be wrong.
Yeah. I it's almost weird to start, because I was literally going to say, well, what I think the game.
Good thought, Dan. What I think. I disagree. I think it.
That's fine. I can.
No. I'm not even saying I disagree.
But the idea of you saying that thought combined with Marty following it up with, I'm going to have a different interpretation. It's just really funny.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Just playing it reminded me of a lot of, I guess, less me thinking about what was going on in Davey's head and more me using it like as a mirror to think about stuff in my own past of like how many text documents and final draft
projects.
and abandoned projects I have.
Yeah,
how
like
many
chapter
things,
ones you have.
Yes, how many chapter ones I have, how many first acts I have,
Yeah.
how many features in notebooks I have that I want to do for work or for personal stuff. And that's sort of interesting. And being able to like look at those as like these items of the past, of being able to like recount like specific moments and how you felt back then by looking at these very specific
There's
things.
also something really interesting about the idea of looking at your past body of work and then analyzing it as a separate person, like looking at it from an outsider's perspective critically like that. Like,
This guy can't even spell.
yeah. That's a really interesting idea, like looking at themes in your old work, right?
Or
And
Memento
looking at
Mori.
them together and seeing in sequence how you got from one point to another, or these recurring ideas you have and themes and whatever like visual motifs you had, like the 3 dots and the lampposts and all these things that Davey's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The other thing that was the giveaway that all was not as it seemed in Davy's story. How did he know that Coda stopped making stuff? Because Coda, according to his story,
Left.
well,
He's like went off the grid.
Yeah, he left, and he wasn't releasing stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
So how did he know he stopped creating instead of just stopped showing Davy?
Yeah.
Like that. So that, there's some logical inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But anyway.
There were some serious moments in this game where I had to like stop and just breathe for a minute. Where I'm like, that was like an emotional sucker punch.
Yeah, like I was very quickly assuming that these were going to lead to a suicide.
I did too.
That these were,
I thought
like,
the whole thing was a suicide note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with Gone Home, where they
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and despite the fact that like before I played it, like Steve Gaynor was like, "There's no one's
violence,
no one's
no
gonna
death,
die. There's no monsters."
ghosts.
And the whole time I'm like, "He's a liar." He lied right to the face.
There's ghosts right around that corner.
So here's a question for you guys: do you think that the beginner's guide benefits from being a game with a player-controlled camera, as opposed to having a director-controlled camera?
Right, like being a film.
I mean, I think you can, I hate saying it because you should buy art that you enjoy, but I think you could watch a no commentary Let's Play of this game and get the exact same sort of benefit of it. Like, aside from you wouldn't be able to read all of the nodes in the one fake online game where there were fake messages everywhere. Like,
This is my favorite one, by the way.
that was pretty good.
I must have read 300 of those.
You're just like, why are these all here?
There were some that were just
Fake Dark Souls.
seriously
fake Dark Souls.
depressing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a thing. Yeah, it's kind of crappy to be like, why is this a game and not something else? And it's like, well, it's because
that's what that dude made.
Or why is it a interactive thing and not?
No, the question is, do you think it's better as an interactive thing than it would be as a movie, non-interactive thing?
I mean, if only because it is about an interactive medium. It's a game about games.
It's a game about people experiencing something you have made for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think maybe it's best as an interactive thing because it is primarily about interactive.
Yeah, I mean, you could
things.
understand the idea of when you go up the stairs, slow down and stop. You can understand that by watching it, but I don't know. He's saying something very specific about the responsibility to a player.
For me, the one thing that I really got out of it that I don't think I would have gotten out of watching it is the way the narration kicks in at kind of a very prescient moments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he learned a lot about how to do that from the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just like he very successfully kind of gets into your head and understands like what you're going to be thinking when you're at a very specific point.
Well, there's like that moment where you do that sequence of puzzles where he's like, remember this, and you touch the table and you tilt the picture, and then he throws you back in, and you have that moment of like, where's the table? And he says, yeah, and he took out the table.
Yeah.
Like, that's that fake out moment that Davey is very good at.
Yeah,
and that's something very important for a designer to be able to do is to
know what the player to anticipate.
Right, because when you're a game designer, you're looking at things entirely different from what a player is looking at them from. So, and that to me is why game designers use the phrase "the player" a lot, because that is not them.
Yeah,
like
it's like a businessman saying the customer.
Right. So I always avoid talking about what in this game the player does that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I do that.
Right.
I did that.
We do that.
Yeah.
We are players.
Yeah. We are.
Yeah. but for a game designer, they're trying to get into our heads. We're running through their maze, and they're trying to anticipate what we're going to do at a given time, and throw something unexpected at us. They're they're imagining what we're expecting and doing something different.
Yeah.
Or surprising.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool skill that he has.
Yes, absolutely. And this is, to be clear, this is his solo project. It was not
his
Hello
team.
Cakebread, who I believe was the
Correct.
team that made Stanley Parable. He said they are working on other things. This
Cool.
was like sort of his solo project.
Oh.
I think it was neat. I'm glad I played it.
Me too. Why is it called the Beginner's Guide?
I don't know.
Beginner's Guide to Game Design, I think, or just
It was like him as an example, like
yeah,
interpret what you will from my lessons learned,
yeah,
sort of thing.
I feel if someone's played this and wants more that is like this, sort of about game design in theory, but much deeper mechanically, the Magic Circle, which came out earlier this year.
I need to play that.
Yeah, Jordan Thomas's
Yep.
game, which is it's sort of a first-person shooter puzzle game where you are in a piece of what's it called when the game never comes out?
Development hell.
Yeah, but something vaporware.
There it is.
That was the word. Development
something
hell, too, but it's really interesting because you're going through this game and you have the ability to retool rules in the world, so you can make enemies not like
hack and slash.
Like hack and slash. You can make an enemy completely passive. You can make you can add speed to something. You can add weight to something.
Wow.
But you're going through layers of the game, and it's this fake first-person shooter that they were making. And you go in an area, and it was like being developed over the course of a decade. And so you go into an area that looks like a game from 1995,
That's
as opposed to
awesome.
a game from 2002. Really interesting stuff. Both of those games, this and Magic Circle and Beginner's Guide, are sort of interesting. They have cool things to say about
Stanley Parable too.
When you get into and I know this is a debate everyone hates, but whether or not this is a game.
Damn it, Dan.
The reason that I agree it's kind of an annoying semantic argument.
Yeah.
But I think that it is kind of important in that it manages expectations. When you tell somebody, hey, go play this game, The Beginner's Guide, and they go in expecting a game, that's not what they're going to get. So I don't like to tell people that this is a game because they're going to go in expecting.
Go experience this.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever it is.
I'm very careful about who I recommended this to. Like, I came in this morning and recommended it to Justin Davis because I was like, you play dumb things like this, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I'm not gonna go over to like, I don't know, I'm not gonna have Destin play.
Hey,
Destin
Vince, who loves systems, you should play.
Oh my God, yeah,
The
Vince.
Beginner's Guide.
Yeah.
I think it's just about when you hear the word game, it conjures the idea of not just a virtual space, but
it
rules
shouldn't.
and a challenge.
I feel like again,
But-
this is the 10,000th time we have this argument. The word movie means so many things.
Right, but when you hear movie, it's like, I have an idea of what that experience is going to be like in terms of what is expected of me.
Yeah, but
I'm shutting this down before it goes anywhere farther. Thank you for listening. This has been IGN Overclocked episode 9. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at MitchyD. I'm also on Podcast Unlocked. Do a lot of new stuff here. Working on some good features coming soon. New York Comic Con is this week. We're going to have lots of coverage on that. Marty,
yeah.
what are you doing? Who are you?
You can follow me on Twitter at McBiggity. You can follow me on Tinder. No. I'm on Podcast Unlocked with Mitch as well. I'm on our PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond.
Reviewing anything at the moment?
No.
Oh, weird.
You just got off Tony Hawk.
Let's got off Tony Hawk. Don't play that video game. Lego Dimensions. That's a pretty cool video game. Also, we will plug next week our top 100.
That's right.
Top
Starting
100
Monday.
games of all time,
Yep.
based on the criteria of how fun was it at the time.
Yep.
Viggies.
And significance since.
And significance since.
It's all kind of a hodgepodge. But the PC is well represented,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
especially in that top 10. There's
Dota 2 didn't make it. Find out on sometime soon.
I don't even know if it did.
It did.
I was about to say, oh, Mitch is still alive. Of course it did. Yeah, that'll be up. Is it up on Monday?
Starts Monday.
Starts
yeah.
Monday. Probably rolling
And then
out
I
for-
imagine it's a rollout, yeah.
Yeah, check that out.
Daniel?
I am at Dan Stapleton on Twitter. This podcast is the only one I do on a regular basis.
You do some scoop.
I do occasional.
You've
scoops.
scooped.
You're a scooper.
And we do review discussion. When
You'll never
That's
be
true.
invited on Nintendo Voice Chat.
Probably not. What else am I doing? Working on that.
Working on
Galaxy
Rebel
review.
Galaxy.
Gearing up for Fallout. And
jeez.
yeah, that's gonna
luck.
be a thing.
Yeah, that's
And-
gonna be a thing.
Yeah, gearing out for the whole big review season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be on Fallout. I'm going to be on Battlefront. What are your big games? Do you
Nothing.
know yet?
Tales from the Borderlands 5. That's
Easy.
it. I did it.
Easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you weaseled your way out of Assassin's Creed this year.
I didn't weasel anything.
Weasel.
Life is Strange is happening soon, I think. That game's got to
yeah.
finish this year.
That's-
Ugh.
I think
That game's going to arrive on like a Saturday morning. I'm going to have a Monday embargo. Last time it was the worst. It arrived on Saturday and I had a Friday embargo the day before. Like, thanks, guys.
If only you could travel back in time.
Throwing everything I have in Marty, including this gigantic mug. Cool. That's us. Thank you for listening. This is IGN's Overclocked show. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Tell your friends, etc., etc., etc. We don't have a contact email. We should maybe set one of those up so people can communicate to us. But we do have a Facebook group, so search Overclocked on Facebook. Join that group. Good crew in there.
You should also check out our newest show, IGN Unfiltered, which Ryan McCaffrey hosts, and it's monthly, hour-long, in-depth interviews with cool people in the industry. And the first one is Tim Schafer, and it's a really great interview.
Nice. And if you care about MOBAs like I do, watch IGN's new show, Esports Weekly.
And if you don't care about MOBAs, still watch it because that's important.
Thank you, Marty. And thank you for listening, watching, whatever you do. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some cool post-Comic-Con news. Hopefully.
One would hope.
Maybe we'll have more games to talk about. We'll
Hitman
find
and
out.
Deus Ex are there.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll get some people on to talk about those games.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. See you guys next week.
Cool.